Thank you, Your Honor. Mrs. Anthony, is it your testimony that despite the fact that your work records show that you worked on Monday, March 17th of 2008 and Friday, March 21st of 2008, that you were home between the hours of 1:40 p.m. and 1:55 p.m. on March 17th of 2008?
It's possible, yes.
Were you home on March 17th of 2008 between 1:43 and 1:55 p.m.?
If those computer entries were made, then I made them. I was home. I know I took some hours off. During that week was Casey's birthday and my anniversary, and I did go home early a couple days.
All right. Now you have to work at 7:30 to 5, typically?
My hours are whatever I make them to be. I had to be there at least from 8:30 to 5 o'clock, and then my hours got extended within 2 hours after, within 2 weeks after I started working, the hours got extended to 5:30. So when I signed up, it was from 8:30 to 5, but after I got hired, it was from 8:30 to 5:30. And I would always come a minimum of a half hour prior to and stay as long as I needed to.
All right. So it's your testimony today that it's possible that you were home on that day, even though your work records reflect something differently. That's correct?
Overruled.
Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. Even though your work records suggest or establish that you were working on March 21st of 2008, is it your testimony in front of this jury that you were home between 2:16 and 2:28 p.m.?
It's possible. I mean,
were you or weren't you?
That day,
Overruled.
the only thing that triggers that day for me is those computer entries. It was not a traumatic day for me like the last 3 years, so I can't tell you exactly what time I went home. If I had access to my work computer, I could tell you when I left that day.
Have you looked in the last 3 years to determine what time you went home on March 17th of 2008?
I have not been to work since July 15th of 2008. I never returned back to my employer.
Do they still exist?
Yes, they do.
If you wanted to, you could go and find out if in fact you left work on March 17th of 2008, even though your records reflect that you didn't.
No, I don't think so.
They won't let you in the door.
No, that's not the reason. The reason is because I had a working password and I was an employee, and only I would know through my emails what time I left, and no one had a password to my emails, and I'm sure all those things have been lost by now.
You're guessing.
No, I'm not guessing. No, I'm not guessing.
Let me ask you this. On Friday, March 20th.
Allow the witness time to answer, complete their answer.
Ma'am, did you complete your answer?
No, I did not.
Complete your answer, ma'am.
We had several passwords to get into our computer, and everything, I had at least 2 login passwords to my computer that only I had access to. It was against policy to give your passwords to even your supervisor. I also had a computer access password to my emails, and again, no one was allowed to get into my emails except me. And those computer passwords expire every 30 days. And without me being there to put in my old password to create a new one, no one would be able to get into my passwords.
Do you have knowledge as to whether or not your company backs up your emails?
I don't know if they would still have them 3 years from now, because the reason I say that is because our emails had a memory that only lasted so long, and it depended on how much was in there if we deleted them or not.
My question was, do you have knowledge as to whether or not your former employer backed up their emails on a regular basis?
Again, it would depend on the length of time that those emails were there. One office that I worked at, our company was nationwide. We were in 40-some states, and in each state there was many, many Gentiva locations. Ours was just one. And the capacity that each office could hold was a little bit. And every day we generated referrals, which came as emails for our patients, not counting the emails that I would get from other employees in the office and my staff. So there was only a capability that the computer could store those. So I do not believe that the company would still have the ones from 3 years ago. It would be virtually impossible to keep everybody's as a backup.
All right, you were aware of the fact that these computer searches were an issue as early as August or September of 2008, correct?
No, the first time I found out about the computer searches was with Detective Melich and Detective Allen coming to my house asking why Casey might perform those searches. And
when was that?
That was prior to Casey's arrest on check charges.
All right, so this would have been in September of 2008?
Whatever date that was, yes.
All right, I take it that you did not tell them that you made those searches, correct?
I did tell the law enforcement. In fact, I told you during my deposition in 2009 that I made those searches.
You told me at your deposition that you searched for chlorophyll, correct?
Yes.
And you spelled chlorophyll for me. You
Yes.
recall that?
Yes.
Do you recall denying that you made any searches for how to make chloroform?
I didn't look up how to make chloroform. I looked up chloroform.
Okay.
And I
Did
believe we
you
talked about it.
input into a Google search engine?
Excuse me, Ms. Draper. I would ask the witness be allowed to complete her answer before being
Ma'am,
interrupted by the prosecutor.
Did you finish answering your question?
I can't remember if she'd asked the question. And if she would read back what I said, then I might know if I had something else to say.
Okay. Madam Court Reporter, read back the last question and the last portion of Ms. Anthony's answer to her. And wait till she tells you to go ahead, Ms. Anthony.
Do you recall denying that you made any searches for how to make chloroform? Answer, I didn't look up how to make chloroform, I looked up chloroform.
Yes, I looked up chloroform, and when you look up chloroform, you don't have to look up how to make it. On there, it tells you what the chains are.
All right. You testified in the past that you looked up chlorophyll, correct?
Impeachment.
Overruled.
Correct?
Correct. At the same time, I looked up chloroform.
You suggested that the Google search engine asked you if you wanted to change the spelling of chlorophyll when you made this search, correct?
Correct.
Because you spelled chlorophyll wrong.
Correct.
Did you input the words into the Google search engine, how to make chloroform?
I don't recall putting in how to make chloroform, but I did Google search chloroform, and we talked about it in my deposition.
The question is, and it's a yes or no, did you type in to the search bar on Google how to make chloroform?
The question has been asked and answered twice.
Overruled.
Did you type those words into the search bar on Google?
I don't recall typing in how to make chloroform. I recall typing in the word chloroform.
Do you recall denying that you searched for self-defense?
Yes, I did not search for self-defense.
Household weapons?
I did not search for household weapons.
Neck breaking?
I did not search for neck breaking, but I do recall that there was a pop-up that was showing a YouTube regarding a skateboarder that was skateboarding on rails, like if you're going, like a turnstile type rail if you're going into some place, and the skateboarder. And I recall it saying, a neck-breaking feat.
Is this something that you're recalling now that you've changed your medication since July of 2009?
Again, it's not,
Yes?
no, I recalled that at the time, but you didn't ask me
Okay.
I answered your question specifically at that time. But my memory is better than it was when I had my deposition in 2009.
Yes, ma'am. Did we cover whether or not you did a search for the word shovel?
No, I wouldn't need to look up the word shovel.
Right.